Today's topic is why knowing what you desire matters in relationships. Firstly, one of the things that we are taught as women is to be selfless, to be taken care of. And when there's aspects of the feminine that are indeed that. And yet it tends to put everything, everyone, and the to-do list ahead of you. And that, of course, what ends up happening is you don't end up factored into the to-do list, okay? So a lot of what I teach in terms of feminine power has to do with a reversal or a reconsideration of a lot of the paradigms that you've been taught already, okay? And to check these premises and see if they're actually true, or in fact, if they're actually true to you. So I'm talking about desire today, and desire I consider to be one of the 5 core feminine arts, okay? The 5 core feminine arts. So these are the essential arts and skills that women need to get back into their feminine power and energy. And they are arts and skills that we largely forgot until you relearn them, okay? And I say relearn because the thing is, when you do learn them, then you own them again and you realize, well, that's sort of obvious. But when it's not obvious and you don't know what it feels like to be feminine, I may as well be talking about unicorns when I talk about feminine power and energy, okay? So we're talking about why knowing what you desire matters in relationships. Before we go there, you need to understand one really important thing. You need to understand that the masculine really, really, really deeply wants to serve, to love, cherish, adore, and provide for the feminine in you. If you asked a man or interviewed him, he wouldn't use those words. He wouldn't even know that it is the feminine in you that he wants to provide for. But when you turn up in a way that's in your feminine, trust me, men will fall sideways over themselves to get you, to hold you, to cherish you, to provide for you, to love you, and to give you everything that you want and desire, okay? So what does a man need to do this? So, women operate differently. Firstly, we're more talkative, we communicate through words a lot. We're different with each other, okay? So this is an important thing. Women are very different with each other, and if we try to apply how we are with each other to how we be with men, it doesn't work, okay? What the masculine needs from us is they need simple, clear, present instructions. They want to know what we want and desire. They need to know what we want and desire. What they hate doing, some men will recognize this, is having to interpret, guess, or wonder about what we want to make us happy. So if we started with this premise that the masculine and men really, really want to make us happy, and that to do this, we need to know our desire in order that we can communicate it to them, we take a whole boatload of guesswork out of the equation for them. And they are so grateful for this. They're so grateful that to be with a woman who knows what she wants and desires and knows how to ask for it in a gracious way that doesn't expect the outcome or doesn't expect the way in which it's going to come to her. So what's required of you here? What is required of you is to know your desire, know what you want. And the reason why I include desire as one of the 5 core feminine arts is because there's a lot to learn about desire, actually, because we haven't been given, by all intents and purposes, much permission to be in our desire, okay? Well, it's one reason why I have these communities, is I want you to have full permission to be in your desire and to discover your true deep desires. Now, why I say that is, if I were to ask you a question right now, what do you want? I know exactly what happens. I see it. I've asked it thousands of times with clients and students. They go, "Rrr," and they go into their head and they think about what they want. That's normal. That's kind of how we've been trained to be. If I asked you what you want 30 times in a row, we'd start to exhaust some of those mental responses. And the mental responses are largely conditioned responses, conditioned by the family and the upbringing, conditioned by society, conditioned by socioeconomic or religious background, your language, the country in which you were born, your education, okay? And none of those things are bad. It's just that when unconscious and when they've conditioned you to think a certain way, you have to start to question, is that what I really want? Is that really my desire? Or sometimes it's other very well-meaning people's desires for you that you'll answer. So in order to discover what you desire, you have to go into a deep dive and a discovery. And it's a very courageous thing to do, by the way, to take a deep dive into desire, to be courageous enough to go, wow, okay, I'm going to take a deep dive and keep asking that question and keep looking at these condition levels, get them gone. And then some other mid-level desires might come up and they might still be safe. And then we're talking about the real deep desires, okay? I know that a woman knows herself and knows her feminine power when she's willing to dive deep into the hidden, unconscious, unadmitted, unsaid levels of desire in herself. Okay, so I'm painting a picture here. So in order to do that, I mean, I have a whole training on desire, right? I have a whole training on how to get you into that deep dive, but I really want you to ponder here today, like, wow, what don't I admit to myself? What's hidden? What's perhaps in the background? And I'm suggesting this even outside of the concept of relationships, just for you, my dear, just for you. Because until you go there, you don't know yourself. You don't really know yourself. And until you go there, it's going to be very hard for you to find your purpose, your passion, and to feel like you're really aligned, plugged in, and connected to who you are, what you want, and where you're going. So this is really passing a twofold thing for you. You need to know what you desire for you and you alone. And it's so powerful to know your desire and then to learn how to, in an empowered way, ask for what you want from people in your life, and particularly in the most vulnerable of all relationships, which is that of the primary relationship. And hey, look, if you want to go a bit deeper into understanding desire, I encourage you to enroll in my free masterclass, where one of these mistakes women make is around desire. And so I go into it in a lot greater depth in the masterclass. So I've got a link below, and I'll put a link above for the masterclass. Highly encourage that. Totally free. Jump on in. Make sure you, there's a download to take notes and to really discover some things about your feminine power. I'm going to ask you to put in the comments box below some desires that you identify when I first ask you the question, what do you want? And then I'm going to get you to go into that. Ask the question a dozen times, journal, do whatever you need to do, and then share the first thing you say and then share the last thing that you say or you answer, okay? And I want you to assess internally whether you feel like you're getting into edgy, hidden, unsaid territory, because that's when you're starting to hit the juice. Okay? Beautiful. Love you from my heart to yours, and I will see you back here next week. If you have anything that you want me to talk about, please always put it down in the comments box, and I will consider it for a video or a live stream. Bye-bye for now.